This morning we are sailing into Passau, Germany. We were dropped off at a bus terminal by shuttle bus, and we all looked around to find our tour guides. Big motor coast shuttle buses. Ours were the white ones. There's our program director trying to make sure everybody has figured out what they're doing. And you see all the different groups standing around finding their tour group. Our tour group is Esther this morning. It's 44C. So we are walking alongside the river, and we're going to be walking by the new town, following Esther, our guide. And these are the public restrooms right here, so it's real convenient to the bus. First thing our guide did, give us some landmarks. Up there at the top is the little Madonna and Child. We're walking this way to go to Old Town. Our landmark to head back to the ship is this little alley, Negschmidsgasse, and the Dean and David sign. Guess I better catch up with my group. There was a large fire here. The Italians came to rebuild the city, so they built walls near the existing structures. See this, what looks like a stovepipe up there? That's actually where the roof drains. There's a little hole above it, and it drains down all the snow and rain. Be really careful of bikes that come along behind. The Viking Christmas tours, they come through here, and you can get some gingerbread and some other Christmassy type foods and drinks. We're actually still in the new town. We're heading toward our old town. Actual division between old and new town is up ahead at the church.
Sorry to meet everybody, Rush. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful flowers. She said they change out these flowers a couple of times a year depending on the season. Past the little flower and through a little archway, not really an archway, a little passageway. Now we're in Old Town. If we were coming by car, you'd be coming through there, but we had a pedestrian bypass. And you see all of the cobblestones in the street. This alley is named after the architect that was invited to rebuild the city after the fire. As we come around the corner, we see the beauty of the cathedral in its full glory. That's the statue of King Maximilian Joseph I. It is pointing to the west, pointing toward TJ Maxx. Now we're going to be going into the cathedral. It is air conditioned, so that'll be nice. When they were first built, the cathedral clock towers were only half this height. Cathedral goes back to 1017. This is the most ancient building that's still here. This St. Stephen's was actually named for Stephen in the Bible, who was martyred. And there's a beautiful depiction of that scene behind the altar where Stephen is being stoned for his beliefs. You've got Paul in the background, you've got the stoners, and looking down from above, you've got Jesus, God, and then the Holy Spirit depicted. On this little street is where all the metal workers lived, and you can see the door shutters and window shutters. Most of them are all replicas, but it represents the folks that did live and work in this area. All of these buildings are still painted the same original colors. She said at wintertime they'll have it decorated up really fancy for Christmas. It Hitler lived right across the river over there. And there was an organist at the church that was watching him play, and he saw him fall in the river, and the organist saved him. And years later, decades later, the organist was so sorry that he did, because that little boy was Adolf Hitler. Was living here with his parents at the time. We just walked through different little alleyways. I would think it'd be easy to get lost around the alleys, but eventually find the river again. And we saw a little bakery window right here in one of these alleyways with some very tempting looking treats. Behind me is the Scharfrichter's house. This is where the executioner lived. There's the house. The market alley is to the right, the milk alley to the left. These days they actually have a comedy show in the basement, and the best one gets the Executioner's Award. Executioner's House, Scharfrichter House. Okay, this is the town hall. Isn't that impressive? With the town hall clock, look at the beautiful frescoes that are painted all along. Here behind me is a bus stop. You see the H on the sign ahead of us? If anybody wants to go to the museum that's at the top of the hill, they would take that bus every 15 minutes. You've got it either loading here or loading there to come back here. So 30 minutes for a round trip. You do have to pay for the bus, but if you use your bus tickets, you can get a little discount at the museum. And right here beside the townhouse across the street is the Glass Museum. I like these little jigsaw puzzle pieces that are extended across the alley. You can hear the clock tower ringing. They have colored cobblestones representing diversity. Believe it or not, this little alleyway is a two-way street. I would think that would be quite challenging unless you have some very, very small cars. But she said that this alleyway will lead us all the way back to the bus parking area. We're not going back to the bus. We're going to turn left in another little alley that can uphill. I don't know what degree angle this is, but I will probably be a little bit out of breath by the time we get to the top. That's the little street that we just hiked uphill from. There's a St. Christopher's carrying baby Jesus mural above it. And we ended up right back here at the cathedral where we came to, and one of the first landmarks we actually saw. But I just now noticed that to the right of the cathedral there are the water closets. Damen for women and Herren for men. And she said that they are free to use. No more having to have a coin to go to the restroom. So during our free time, we decided to stop in the free water closets there for a restroom break, then down to the Glass Museum. Came into the Glass Museum. It's actually a hotel entrance too, with the lobby. Purchased our tickets at the desk. We're taking the elevator up to the 5th floor, and we get to walk our way down as we look at the displays. The elevator was cool and air conditioned, but when we got off on the 5th floor, it is not air conditioned. Quite warm in here, so we may not linger quite as long as I'd hoped, but they do have some beautiful glassware on display. If you'd like to get kind of an audio guide, you can access the QR code for a guide to what we're seeing. The staircases are unique in themselves, and the good news is the further down we went, the cooler it did become. Much more comfortable. There are little passageways everywhere. Of course, when I talk, it's going to echo. It's the old building. We've been to the Corning Museum of Glass in New York State, and This rivals their collection. It's not as large, but it is just as varied. Very nice collection of glass. So many little alcoves, extra different steps. Just watch for the museum tour signs so you can find all the different little rooms. Someone was very fond of snakes. Going to walk back through the Artist Walk and head up that hill again to get to the Cathedral in time for the organ concert. Artist Walk is much calmer now than it was when all the tour groups were there. I found my seat at the organ concert. Our guide told us that this little spot here would probably be about the best spot because the sound of the organ floats up to that little cutout up there in the ceiling. The music floats up to the heavens. Right here in the center, this is where the best seats are supposed to be. Plus they have a few chairs that have cushions on the seat and the backs are solid. So I think these chairs, like those in front of me, there's just a few of them. I think these are going to be the best. Let me break in here and ask you that if you have found anything at all helpful in this video, if you would take a moment to subscribe to my channel. If you don't wish to subscribe, if you could at least push the like button or leave a comment below. All of those things tell YouTube that my videos are worthwhile and they show them to more people, and I appreciate it very much. Thanks. Now, the walking tour was good, and it was only 2 hours, which was great. That was a good orientation. And then the ship did shuttle us back and forth if we wanted to stay a little longer, and we decided to do that. We went to the fortress, caught the bus at the bus stop across from the town hall that we saw earlier on our tour. Cobblestone street is going to make this quite bumpy. It's the Oberhaus bus that brought us here. And we've got a directional sign here. We're not needing the car park. Good place for a selfie. So let's just check out the grounds here and figure out what this is. Some really neat places to sit. That's a pretty bronze statue. And here's the view after we walked inside. How pretty. Alright, so I am guessing that you can go to an observation without having to necessarily pay anything. There's a bear moat to the old town. Then beside it is a map of the entire place. There is a museum here, so perhaps the ticket desk is for the museum. Alright, I'm going this direction. Gonna see what I can see. Okay, they know I don't know my German, but it's nice that the 1 looks like you're looking at a viewpoint. And the 0 would be parking and food, and -2 looks like museum and information. So I think that's handy to put a little picture thing for those of us who have no clue where we're going. Definitely worth coming up the elevator for the viewpoint. Views all around. We're doing the view first, then we'll try to decide if we have enough time to do the museum as well. They're calling for some thunderstorms, so that may play into our decision. So as we exited the elevator, if I go to the right, I have some beautiful views. So you can tell it looks like it could come up a rain. There's a breeze. Clock tower. I see a little church spire down in the valley. Beautiful green fields and trees, and looks like maybe a vineyard up ahead. How pretty. I know I keep saying pretty. Every time I turn around here in Germany, I say pretty. It's a beautiful country. Going to the left after the elevator leads up a little gravel path to another viewpoint. I think I saved the best view for last. Look at this. You see both rivers. You can tell a difference in the color as they converge. First I thought it was a shadow, but I really think it's just the water. The museum entrance fee was €5 if you bought the shuttle bus ticket to come up here. You got a discount with the ticket. I think it was $7 otherwise. He recommended we go to the tower first if we want to go do the tower, and then do the museum later because the tower closes about 30 minutes before the museum does. Floor 0 is for the observation tower. And have some amazing views of Passau. Can't imagine any better views than what we already saw. So there is the beer house, the restaurant, right at the bottom of that little hill in the car park. From up here, and another little observation point from that angle here. The observation tower starts with a spiral staircase. There's about 27 steps. Then you get to this. Pretty stairs. I don't think I'm going to appreciate the beauty of them till I'm at the top ready to come down. Well, that wasn't quite as bad as I thought. 68 stairs. I thought there was supposed to be like 150, so I was pleasantly surprised that it was a lot less. Brings me out to here. Oh, I see more stairs there to go up higher. Well, let's see what we see from here to begin with. I like these cool little lookout nooks. Oh yes, very pretty. And from this side over here, let's see what this side looks like. Got to be really careful. There's lots of stones, little roots, but it sure is nice. We had a cold front come through, dropped the temperature significantly. They keep saying we're likely to have thunderstorms. So far, so good, though. Oh yeah, it's a different view than what we have seen so far. Get a little better view of the vineyards on the hill, but then we can pan around to the left a little bit more. All right, up the next group of steps. Well, that door led to a little exhibit room. I'm not going to stop and really look at the exhibits because it's talking all about the river and where things are located. Don't really think I want to watch any of that. I think I'm just going to go up the stairs and see what we can see. Alright, 79 more stairs to come up. Ah, breeze is nice. Feels very good after that climb. And what do we see? Risk of falling. I think you'd really have to climb up there to try to fall. I thought you could see the three rivers from this observation point. I think that the view from the lower level of here was really nice, and the view that was free, you didn't have to pay for with the museum, where those people are standing, that view is just as good as this view. Almost the same as this view, just this is just from a little bit higher up. So my opinion, if you're wanting to save some money and you don't love museums, just come up to that little observation point that you can walk to without having to get a museum ticket. If you love to climb stairs, then come on up. This door near the top is very heavy. It says caution swinging door, and it does. It swings back and can whack you, so make sure you're hanging on to it as you go in or out of it. Now on to the museum. The first floor winds you around and you see all kinds of different displays. Some really cool old manuscripts that they have on display. Behind me, I think, is one of those giant ceramic heaters. And in this passageway, there is a bit of a mural. And this door with an exit sign, once I got up a little closer, I realized that this is a tour for Middle Ages and St. George's Chapel with the Three Rivers view. Brings you to an outdoor walkway. I can see where we came in the museum there. And we're going to walk to this door. And there are a couple more restrooms, water closets if you will, before you go in the door at the other end of that passageway. They believe in doors. Go a door to get to another door. So this is the Middle Ages Museum. All the signage is in German, as you would expect. There are some English descriptions here. Example of a home in the Middle Ages, some of the tools. Yeah, we got tools of the trade, stonework. That's a big key there. Cross saw. And more displays, but I'm trying to find the church. Maybe it's through this door. Just entered through a dark passageway that's nice and cool, and they said this is about as light as it would be in a medieval home, which is not very light, pretty dark. And back through one more door. You have to pay attention. These doors said slide, and I kept trying to pull them open. There's some really large chests or trunks. It would be neat to see what was stored in there. I like that beautiful piece. And just when you're not sure where to go, there's a sign saying you can't go there. Ah, here's the next spot, and we're going to see some coats of arms. And some mighty big weapons. Always have to watch your steps, little ramps everywhere. There's some good old chainmail. We got cannons. Oh, another passageway with an arrow pointing me to the right. I guess I'll go right. Okay, St. George's Chapel. It's a little chapel, but it's very ornate for being so small. It's got the frescoes painted on the ceiling. Has a little altar. Some backless benches, and in the back are pipes for an organ. So we came out of there. That sign over there says it's the Bohemian Forest Museum. There is an opening. Looks like that's where we go for the Three Rivers view. Alright, I just came down a bunch of steps to go to the Three Rivers view. I was really surprised. I thought we'd be going up a bunch of steps. Came down those steps from St. George's Chapel area. And we're going to go around this way and see what we can see. A little gravel path. And down a little ways here. I don't see but one river, two rivers from here. Alright, finally made it to the Three Rivers view. There's the Ilz, I-L-Z river, and if you could see through those trees, there's a little canal, and it empties out here where the Danube and the Ill join. So all three rivers converge right there. Danube, the hills, and the inn. The fire museum had some very unique looking vehicles. And now we're working on trying to find our way back out. I would think if we go depth the stairs that we came down a minute ago, we'll be able to find the exit. Historic apothecary. I love how it says, don't touch the furniture. The drawers are empty. It's wanting to let you know you don't have to go looking. And look at all the porcelain figurines. Lots of cool figurines. I could see a person wanting to be a collector. These are just really cool. I have a couple of porcelain figurines that were my mom's, and they're neat to have. And then we have the porcelain figurine animals. I don't think I've ever seen a porcelain figurine of fighting animals. Got a goat and its kid and several birds, ducks, a hawk, peacocks, all kinds of bird figurines. Man, that's a big one. Okay, now we're going to the Guilds and Crafts, the secret of the Brotherhood. This is quite this place. Looks like you're going down into a dungeon. Well, there's the Brotherhood marching. Lots of artifacts. I like this display. I like that it's nice and cool in here. Oh, they've got a demonstration of different molds. Isn't that interesting? Need a molded hand? How about a molded leg? There's a molded head. I guess eventually you get the whole body. And then we get tools for coopers. If you need to build you a casket or what do you call it, a keg? Lots of tools for the cooperage. What a day in Passau. It's about 8:30 at night, still plenty daylight here. Here we are, June 22nd, I believe it is. We really enjoyed our city today. I walked about 16,000 steps, but don't be alarmed. Only maybe less than 5,000 of that was during the actual city tour. I also want to tell you that what I found out about the e-bike tour. It was for experienced e-bike riders, and it was more strenuous than the earlier e-bike tour. In fact, somebody in our group did get hurt on that, fell off the bike. We're going to require some pretty hefty stitches. In fact, they were going to have to stay overnight because she had such wounds. They were needing to debride, get rocks out of the wound. I'm sorry, too much detail probably. So an idea for you, if you're going to go on an e-bike excursion, maybe wear long pants. That probably would have helped a lot of the injury that she had. And I don't know how they're gonna handle everything tonight. They do have friends cruising with them, but they're not gonna be able to fly home tomorrow like they had planned. So good tip for make sure you have travel insurance, whether you buy it from Viking or if you buy it some other place. But it's very good to have that because they're gonna have extra expenses now to fly home on a different day. And that's trip interruption type expenses as well as the medical care too. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.